My eyebrows are on. As you can see, I was able to keep them a little bit on the thinner side today. I know some people are saying that like thin brows are kind of back in style. I wasn't doing makeup back when thicker brows were in style, so I just am trying to make my brows look less Sharpie-like, so I think they look alright today. My Circo Loco palette is here, and I think people have definitely been saying that this is a really great sister palette to Pastel. So I'm gonna mess around with the shades in here and the shades in Pastel. I'm gonna see what I can come up with. I kind of want to like integrate as many colors as I can. I don't have much lid space, but I really want to try it. So I think I have a working idea of what I want to try. So I'm gonna start off with Firework right here. This is a very bold orange, much different from Peiliee and Pastel. So I'm gonna start with that, and I'm gonna start this on the center of my eyelid. And I'm gonna try. I'm using Blend Bunny brushes today because I'm really gonna try and keep my eyeshadow precisely applied because of how many colors are kind of dancing in my head right now. I'm getting back into drawing like weird creature designs again, and I keep on drawing them all with like a hodgepodge of neon colors so that they look like a disaster, and I guess it's infecting the kind of eyeshadow I want to put on. So yeah, I'm just sticking it right there, and then I'm just gonna build it up. Now obviously if you want these kinds of shades to pop more, consider using a very light colored base. The NARS eye primer I use, I did get it in the shade Light, but it's really not that tinted. I am on the hunt for something that's kind of a similar color to the ABH primer without being as awful as that one is, because that one just dried the ever-loving hell out of my eyelids. And I can't use paint pots either, those also are too drying for me. Okay, so you can see here I just have these two little spots where I put eyeshadow on, so cute. I want to go into, oh, my palette is messy. I kind of want to go into Acrobat, which is here. This is a cream to powder shade. We all know my feelings on those. I'll put up with it for the sake of this video. It's really not like a terrible formula. It's just not to my preference. I just think her creamy matte formula is superior in all regards. So I'm gonna put this on the outer corner. So in the case of a dark shade like this, cream to powder is nice because it makes it easy to build up and layer. That's why I didn't really understand why she had cream to powder pastels, because pastels are already super light. Like, why would you make it cream to powder? Because now it's even harder to build up. So I'm just gonna kind of doing like preliminary laydown, so that's why it doesn't look super blended yet, because I'm just kind of making sure it's where I want it. And right now I'm just using a really tiny Morphe brush. I don't even know if you can still get it anymore. Oh, there's a hair on my eyelid. Okay, so I'm just blocking out where I want things to go. It's so it looks rough right now, but it'll get better. So that's kind of what we're starting out with. It looks like a hot mess, but we'll get there. Okay, so that's Acrobat and Firework. So now what I want to do, I'm gonna go back into Firework first just to start working on blending these two shades together. Let me do that first before I do anything else, and I'm not gonna do too much blending, just enough that they kind of barely work. There's gonna be shimmers going over this later, so if it looks kind of rough, it's gonna get covered up. And the nice thing about blue and orange is you can really blend them together, because blue and orange, when mixed together, create a really pretty color that's not super muddy. Probably the two easiest complementary colors to put together ever. I've definitely said that before, but just in case you haven't watched my other videos, I'll say it again. You can see how it's not really muddy when they put together. Really nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna use the same brush, so I'm just kind of rubbing it off on my arm. I'm now gonna go into Peiliee. Peiliee is gonna be this pale orange here. I'm gonna use this to start blending out the upper part. So we're kind of going for this like faded effect. And of course it doesn't super show up on my eyelids, since my eyelids are a little darker than the rest of my skin, but you can see how it just kind of blends out the shadow. Adds a nice little gradation there. It's more of like a salmon orange. So that shade is there. So now I'm gonna go back in with more of that cream color, and I'm gonna go in with a fluffier Lunar Beauty brush this time, and I'm gonna just kind of start working back over top of that. And I don't want to blow it out too far because I want to have another shade out here. And you can see how easy her cream to powder formula is to work with. Honestly, it's really not that bad. And then once I have it kind of blended, I'm gonna use my finger to intensify it just right where I want the pigment to be saturated. And that's the nice thing about cream to powder, is that I can just work in with my finger. So I know I like drop trash on her cream to powder formula, but objectively it's not bad. I just think it's like worse than her matte formula. I'm just whining. Right now I'm just using a Lunar Beauty brush. These brushes are nice too because they're also really small. And then again, I'm just gonna go into a little bit more firework. So now that I'm happy with the blend, I'm gonna start working into other shades. So let me see. All right, I'm gonna take this very small Sigma. It's a detailed diffused crease. It's pretty small and I want to use this on the outer corner. So I'm gonna take Feather, which is going to be this shade here. It's actually quite similar to one of the shades in Circo Loco. I have comparison swatches, but it's this shade here at the bottom. However, it's a lot more pink and it's actually surprisingly pretty. So I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna kind of create a diffused edge that consists of multiple colors, kind of a situation. So this is gonna go right out here. I got a little bit of fallout on this eye from Acrobat, but that was because I didn't kind of tap off my brush, so I don't have fallout on the other eye when I did tap out my brush. And I'm just very gently patting it where I want it because I don't want it to go out too far. And it's just creating this really pretty gradient effect for me. And this brush is super soft. I really like it. It reminds me of the Hakuhodo one I have that I really like. The Hakuhodo one is even smaller and it has a firmness to it since it's natural hair versus this one, but this one is still really nice. I heard Hakuhodo is raising their prices, so I really need to go buy more of those brushes I like. And Feather is one of my favorite shades in pastel. Okay, so you can kind of see how I'm creating this gradient look. So it's not like it's super visible, but at the same time it really just feathers out the look and it just looks really nice. So that's Feather. Like I said, I have all these colors I want to use in this look today, so we're gonna see how crazy I let things get. But that's gonna be what that's looking like so far. Currently it just looks like a very simple blue and orange look. So I kind of wanted to use a blue shade on the inner corner, but that would kind of sandwich the orange. I don't know how good that would work. Well, first let me first work on the lower lash line, since I think I know what I want to do for that. I'm going to take Joker, which is this pink down here. It's like a darker version of Tulle, and I'm just going to work that on my lower lash line because I do know I really want to have that pink under my lash line. Okay, so that's gonna be that on the lower lash line, and I'm gonna add the shimmers later when I figure out what I want to do. Well, you know what? Let's just do it. I really want to use this shade on the inner corner, so I'm just going to. I'm gonna take another Blend Bunny brush. This one's even smaller. I'm going to just stamp this on the inner corner. Actually, that's not so bad. It's not like the most harmonious, but it doesn't look that bad either, so. Okay, so actually that's not as bad as I imagined it would be, so I'm actually really happy with the result. And the way I'm gonna make this all work out is I do want to have a vertical gradient on my lash line. I know, I'm like getting to the point where it's starting to become a risk of how many pigments can I layer before my eyelids refuse anymore, but I really want to try something. You know, I'm gonna go in with this shade here, Act, because it's a shimmer, so it'll probably work better. And I'm gonna use that against my lash line, so I'm gonna try and keep it as tight to my lash line as possible. So I'm just gonna use a very densely packed brush. This is from the Pony Effect set, and I'm just going to dig in and I'm gonna press gently. I'm using this dry, so I'm trying to avoid fallout. This shade is technically a shimmer, but it's not super shiny. It reads more satin to me personally, so for me I'm just doing like pressing motions, very little rubbing. You can see the darkness that I just put down, and I'm just putting it up until you can see it with my eye open. I just really wanted to challenge myself to use as many shades as possible without it looking like absolute garbage, because sometimes my looks are so simple, which is fine, but I really want to challenge myself and get better doing more intricate looks. So you can see I just apply it right up until my eyes are open. And now I'm going to go back in with that Whittle Bitty Sigma blender, and I'm going to go in with a little bit of magic, and this is going to blend out that shade, in theory. Kind of like that. It actually looks pretty nice, honestly, not gonna lie. That actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would. I was kind of concerned. Okay, Okay, so now that I feel like I blended it, but not too much because I don't want it to blow out too far. So I'm just gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna call that done for like the lower lash line. Really pretty. And then I do really want, I know, I'm crazy. I do really want to use one of the pastel shimmers just to kind of add like a nice good toppery effect to everything. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of Dainty, which is right up here. I think this will work really well just to kind of top things off. So I'm just taking a well, I'm not going to use that finger is blue. I'm going to take a bit of Dainty and I'm just like this much, and I'm just going to kind of tap this over my eyelid. Natasha Denona's more glittery formula, when applied the right way, actually makes for a fantastic topper. Like, if I was not using only Natasha Denona, I would also be using Fractal Phrygia for this likely. Or if I didn't want to, or if I wanted to make everybody sad, I would use the topper shade from Gold, which is another one of my favorites. So I'm just using that to really just do a nice little dab of twinkle. So pretty. And then I'm going to go into, I want some kind of inner corner highlight. So I'm going to use Snow Cone. I think I like this over the shade from Pastel, but we'll see. And it's just a mint colored shimmer. It's very similar to the one in Pastel. I did do a swatch comparison, but I think I like this one better in terms of formula. So that just kind of makes the inner corner shiny, because I like a shiny inner corner, can't help it. Okay, and then for my lower lash line, I'm going to go back into Pastel. This is honestly a lot of fun. I'm gonna go back into Pastel, and I'm gonna take Dainty, but more intense. And that's gonna go on my lower lash line. Dainty is really pretty, honestly. Alright, and that's gonna be the bulk majority of the eyeshadow completed. Here's what it's looking like so far. So I'm gonna just kind of add the finishing touches. I'm gonna go back into Feather, and I think I could definitely blow this color out a little bit more. So I'm just gonna use Feather again and apply it kind of just everywhere on the outer part. And then I think I'm gonna add a little bit of Airy on the upper part of my outer corner. I think I could use a little bit of blue up here. Airy is that baby blue inside Pastel. And I'm just using a Luxie brush. I think that'll just add a little bit more color interest. I'm just gonna repeat that on this side. And I love how Feather mixes with Acrobat. And then I'm gonna go in with more Peiliee, and I do want to make sure the Peiliee is more visible. Kind of got lost. And then blend that into Airy. Powder formula in Pastel is definitely noticeably more powdery than the powder formula in Circo Loco. I feel like that's just kind of the nature of pastels though. And then for the finishing touches, I'm gonna go in with a Blend Bunny brush, and I'm gonna take Peiliee on the lower lash line. I'm just gonna kind of tuck it right underneath my previous colors, just so that there's like some, just to kind of echo what's on the upper lash line. I just want there to kind of be some color continuity. It also kind of adds like a slight bit of depth to make my eyes look a little bit longer, which is interesting. I just realized that it's a little bit abrupt feeling, so I'm just gonna drag it up a little further. I've been liking doing this a lot lately, I'm sure you guys can tell. And I think I'm gonna break the complexion video into a second video. So I'm gonna have the eyeshadow just be its own video. Alright, so that's gonna be the makeup look complete. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And I really think I definitely did a really good job getting across what I wanted to. I used tons of colors, they all have a place. I feel like I did a really good job. Alright, I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll be back, and I'm just gonna show you guys the finished look, and yeah. Okay, this is the finished look. I really like how it turned out. I kind of went monochromatic with the blush and the lip just to kind of keep the bottom part of my face not too terribly like distracting, because the eyes are pretty elaborate. So I'm wearing the Doe Lashes in Morning Dew. For blush, I wanted to test out my theory of stick blushes and cream blushes and liquid blushes, where I only like it if it's more vivid because otherwise it disappears. So I used the Jaclyn stick blush in Royal Flush. It looks like this. So you can see the difference between on the stick versus my face, and I think my theory is correct because I love how this looks. It didn't disappear, you can still definitely see it, and I think from now on when I'm looking at cream and liquid blushes, I'm just gonna have to look for ones where the color is more vivid than I think I would like, because once I blend it out on my skin, it fades into actually a really pretty color. So I just need to stay away from the really light toned ones because those keep disappearing. And then for lips, I'm using the Jaclyn Cosmetics liquid lipstick in Control. This is from like I think the Neon collection. collection is actually super pretty. It's a really nice bright pinky red color. I don't really have a color too similar to this in my collection. I kind of put it just like on the inner part, and then I used a brush to blend it out since Western liquid lipstick formulas don't blend out very easily once they set, and so that way I'm kind of still able to keep the blurred lip look, was because I used a brush to get it blended out. So that's why it looks a lot better. And then for highlighter on like my brow bone, my cheek, and my nose, I used the Flower Nose highlighter. Instead of Revelation, I used Aria. It's this very white highlighter. It shifts very slightly blue, so I thought it would fit with today's look. So that's really all that's on my face. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, kind of seeing how I would use pastels and colorful shadows together. You can see how the darker shadows in Circo Loco really give the look some depth, and then I was using the pastels to accent and blend out the look. And yeah, it just looks really pretty overall. I definitely really had a lot of fun, and I think this is one of the better looks I've done lately. I love how I was able to get all the colors to show up without turning muddy, and at the same time I used a lot of different colors. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this look. I hope you guys found this video to be helpful. Maybe that this will inspire you to use your own pastels. Whatever pastels you have, it doesn't necessarily have to be from Natasha Denona, or just getting re-inspired by watching me put on eyeshadow. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!